Our opening energy for this weekend's reading is the Ace of Cups. That is followed by the challenge of the Sun, and the way through the challenge came in by way of the Devil, with the outcome being the Five of Wands. So let's talk about this a little bit before I go into the clarifying cards, because usually when the Sun shows up, it brings in some kind of beneficial energy, and yet it's showing up as our challenge today. And with this opening card of the Ace of Cups, it kind of lends this context of some kind of emotional vulnerability, perhaps around something involving a relationship or some matter of the heart. Whenever there's an Ace of Cups, it's that initiating energy, but it's also an openness. So, we went into something with an open heart, and quite possibly something came in that has given us some kind of realization by way of the Sun, and also the awareness of what it is that we feel bound to that feels like it's outside of our control. And that could be a relationship, an unhealthy relationship. It could also be possibly even an addiction, because the Devil card as a card is associated with the planet of Saturn, because the planet of Saturn is a limiting planet, and so is the things that we are often bound to, that we feel like are outside of our control. Yeah, it's important to consider these figures here because they are wearing chains and they are grabbing onto some kind of cycle or wheel. And so there's this awareness that's been brought about through some cycle that's reminding you that you can choose your experience and that you are in some ways in the dark about something. Now, because the Sun came in as our challenge, it's kind of gives me this sense that something came through in this last Mercury retrograde, some kind of information or awareness came through. That's something that we can't look away from. It's something that we really have to accept it for what it is. And that could be causing some kind of rift in our awareness. Now, with the ultimate outcome coming in as the Five of Wands, we see these five figures all carrying wands, and they could be, perhaps in some kind of battle of sorts, in some kind of engagement of will, perhaps even with the parts of their own nature, like one part of you or one aspect of you may see one side of something, whereas another aspect of you sees another completely different perspective. And it's almost like a battle of wills, quite literally, with these five different people here apparently looking to battle each other. So it's asking us in a lot of ways this question of like where we want to put our energy and what we feel is useful to engage with, or if it's just a hassle that's really, stealing time. Now, that was clarified by a number of other cards. I pulled us a lot of cards. So we have the Nine of Cups, followed by the Knight of Pentacles, the Hierophant, and I just kept pulling cards, and this Pisces card that's showing up again, that's shown up quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, quite honestly, further clarified by the Ten of Wands and the Four of Wands. So I think ultimately things are moving in a better direction, but we have to be sober to the situation at hand, right? The Hierophant coming in, it's signaling some kind of situation that we have to accept the order of it. And also, the Hierophant is associated with our faith, our beliefs, because it's associated with the sign of Taurus. And as you likely know, if you've been watching my videos, we have a lot of planets that have been in Taurus for a good chunk of time. And interestingly enough, Jupiter just went into Taurus. So we have a lot of energy in that place in our chart that's asking us, and in a lot of ways forcing us to reconnect to our belief system, and is asking us, where do you want to put your faith, right? And this is an interesting card because it is bringing in this idea of something being revealed that is coming out to align us with our belief system and, you know, where we've been led astray from that. And it's bringing up a lot of reflection and asking us which aspects of our lower nature are no longer useful to us and are no longer serving us. And because this energy of Pisces is on the table, and also the energy of Saturn, we have to look at those energies of Pisces and Saturn. And interestingly enough, Saturn is in Pisces. It's bringing in this sense of limitation or responsibility in the area of Pisces, this place where we've had kind of a dreaminess around something, or, you know, we didn't really want to get detailed around it. We just, you know, wanted to kind of leave it in its potential, right? But Saturn moving into that sign is telling us, no, we really need to get clear around what we need to bring safety and security into our life. Because if something that we are putting our energy into is really going nowhere, hence the Knight of Pentacles, this sense of inertia, you know, it's also telling us, you know, you have to move slowly and purposely toward that thing that you are feeling called to so deeply in your heart. And there's a lot of energy in the sign of Taurus that's helping us out with that. Now, whenever the 10 of Wands shows up, it's, you know, we see this person who's carrying 10 wands. They can't even see the path in front of them. And so, you know, this thing that you're working with, that I'm working with, we're all working with our own thing that has its own particular flavor that we've started to see in a new light over the last few weeks as Mercury has been retrograde and it is moving forward now in the sign of Taurus. It's 6 degrees Taurus, and interestingly enough, it is also sextile Saturn. So something in this timing of Mercury going retrograde and coming direct again, it brought us some kind of information, which is helping us to have a better sense of what we need to refine in our lives and how we need to do it and where we ultimately want to put our energy. Because you have to consider, if all of these 10 wands are essential to carry, because this is a person who is overburdened by everything that they're carrying in life. And if, you know, 5 of these wands are the battle of wills against ourselves, then we have to take a sober look at why we engage with those things that are ultimately pulling us off of our path. So I think we have some really powerful energies, again, kind of honing in on the energy of Saturn over in Pisces. Interestingly enough, that energy is, you know, in a sextile relationship currently with Mercury, which is, you know, giving us those epiphany kind of awarenesses and helping us to see things in a new light. And, you know, Mercury is going over its shadow period right now. So even though it's moving forward, you know, when it moved retrograde, it went from like 14 degrees back to 3 degrees, and now it's at 6 degrees. So it's passing over all of that, like, retrograde shadow, as it is so called. And so we're getting new perspectives, we're getting new awarenesses, and we're starting to accept that which we've seen under this new light, and perhaps even see where we are bound to things that are not healthy for us. So I encourage you to listen to yourself and listen to your emotional body, and especially to listen to your intuition, because we have an intuitive knowing in the body by way of if you feel safe around someone, if you feel uneasy around someone. Your nervous system is, in a lot of ways, your best compass. And so rather than, you know, putting your anchor in the mind, right, which can go anywhere, and as we see, it can make us really fired up in a sense of our own battling of our wills against ourselves, perhaps it's a good time to ask ourselves what is the most important things that we need to work on, and put our energy and effort there. Because Jupiter moving into the, you know, into the sign of Taurus, with Uranus up in Taurus and Chiron up in Taurus, and I'm sorry, Chiron's over in Aries. The North Node is in Taurus, and yeah, the sun is just getting ready to leave Taurus. We have all of this energy that's really calling our attention to our belief system and where we need to put our energy so we can build a stable foundation for ourselves through all this change that ultimately we're about to go on quite the ride with. So I send you all a lot of love. I hope you're well. And of course, if you'd like me to take a look at your chart, or if you'd like a tarot reading or an AstroTarot reading, feel free to reach out to me at rootsofalchemy@gmail.com, or check out my website, which has some of my astrology-inspired art on it, as well as my readings and some of the therapeutics and skincare that I make as well. I send you all a lot of love, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.